Hi, this is Matt with the Intergalactic Herald. Welcome to my Star Atlas Week in Review podcast. This is podcast number 46. Any videos or articles mentioned can be found if you go to intergalacticherald.com and look for news recap number 95. So just a quick intro on some of the content we'll be going over today. It was a light week. Star Atlas team was back, but not a lot to announce, hence not a lot of content creators who were making things. But there were a few things I'll highlight and kind of talk about. One, Metaverse Explorer did publish a video that went over some of the gameplay options in Star Atlas. Dominic Vane, community manager, gotta get everybody's titles someday. Anyways, put out a great kind of year in review video, so I'll talk about that. Star Atlas announced a concurrent player test, and the Atlas Brew did occur, and so there was a few things there. So that's sort of a quick summary of things I'll be going over. Before we get into that, just again want to highlight a few things in my world. One, again, if anybody's interested in being a guest on this podcast, I'm definitely looking for community members, other content creators, potentially Star Atlas employees. So anybody who'd be interested, definitely please go to intergalacticherald.com and you can fill out the contact form there, or you can reach me on the different social media. Again, all those links are at the bottom of my website. I already mentioned the news recap, but if you'd like to have that delivered directly to your email account, please go to intergalacticherald.com and sign up for that weekly Star Atlas news recap. That recap is all the videos and articles that I found. I do admit it's curated, so it's not everything that's out there, but it's the articles and videos that I found interesting to help continue to learn more about Star Atlas. I will slightly note, somebody mentioned about X. Yeah, I just personally have a hard time following there and linking to different tweets and things like that. So I do admit this is much more of a, we'll call it long form content recap. So again, and there's lots of great people posting on Twitter, it's just not a medium I'm able to follow that closely, especially when, anyways. So I do have two Star Atlas projects I kind of want to promote. One is the Intergalactic Gear. That's my Star Atlas merch store that I'm working on. Actually made a lot of great progress over the winter holiday break, and hopefully I'll make a little more progress tomorrow. And then the other one is called Intergalactic Coalition. This is my non-guild guild. So it is a paid community for Star Atlas gamers, focusing more on people who don't want to join guilds, but nevertheless want to kind of have a place to hang out and chat. The paid part is to help pay for the platform I want to use. Unlike Discord, which again is more of a chat platform, this will be much more of a community platform with threaded discussions, email notifications. You can follow specific things. A little more, shall we say, less real time, like a chat like Discord, but more of hoping for much more in-depth conversations and things back and forth on that. So that platform costs money, so the fees will go toward paying for that, and of course supporting my time to help lead that. So anyway, so that's all the kind of initial things. So let's get into the content section. Again, like I mentioned, even though the Star Atlas team is back, quote unquote, in the office, even though I'm pretty sure they don't actually have a physical office, I should probably, anyways, I know some people live in different countries, so obviously they're a very large remote team with also outsourced people doing different things. So not a lot of announcements on their first week back, and so I don't think all the content creators had a lot of stuff to work on. But there were a few things that I wanted to highlight. One, Metaverse Explorer had a great YouTube video out where we went over a summary of all the current gameplay options. And I think actually this video was great to, and maybe it's just again because we're at the end of the year, start of the year, to kind of look back. And it was great kind of going through, because there's always been this phrase going around that, Star Atlas, there's no gameplay. There's no gameplay. But there is. Now, I'll be first to admit, depends on if that's your gameplay, but that's not really the point. The point is they have stuff that people, quote, can engage with, interact with, and things like that. So Metaverse Explorer did a great job mentioning again that Sage now has actually 3 options out there. Again, I guess we're calling it still version 1, which is the more text-based version. Version 2, which has the live map that everybody's kind of moving around in dynamically from blockchain results. I admit I haven't played with that one much, so I assume when you get into do commands, they're similar, but I'm not 100% sure. And then the third one is the version 2, Sage 3D, which is, again, more of now when you do commands, there are 3D graphics for mining and movement and stuff like that. So, again, Sage, the I guess we're calling it the real-time strategy. Definitely it's much heavier on the economy side of what could be the foundation of Star Atlas, though there's always the thing that the next versions of that are going to include, collaborative building of star bases and then the combat options. So we'll see what the year brings. The other gameplay option that Metaverse Explorer brought up was market arbitrage. And this has not appealed to me personally, but I know lots of people do like this, and there's nothing wrong with the arbitrage model. So yeah, people, quote unquote, you play that as part of something in the marketplace. Sell at one point, buy at one price point, try to sell at a higher price point, and then you make the difference. And then the final gameplay option is the showroom. And with the latest, they've had racing time trials in there, but with the latest version that came out just before the end of the year, definitely new racing parts. Sorry, I'm struggling, but there was the timed, and I think death. I don't know. Again, I didn't play it. I ran out of time over winter break, so I didn't. But what I shouldn't say a lot, but a few people have been posting, Metaverse Explorer being one, Beyond the Horizon as another, have been posting some videos about the shooter, which again at this point is a third-person shooter. So I got to keep saying it's not first person, it's third person, and it's in the experimental mode. And it's about bots, so there's no human interaction yet. But again, we're seeing the starts of the potential that there'll be a shooter component within the Star Atlas game. Obviously, the racing component are the two biggies, and of course, all of these are within the UE5 thing. So again, I think these was a great video. Highly recommend if you want to refresh your memory on all the different things that are there. But also, I think it should put a lot of the naysayers who say, oh, there's no gameplay. Well, there is. Now, again, it may not be the final polished shooter like a Call of Duty or something like that. It may not be a racer like Forza or something like that. But the Star Atlas team has been pretty open about that these are works in progress. They're showing where they're heading. And so, again, but you can't say there isn't gameplay now. Again, as I've mentioned many times, this might not be the gameplay I want to do, but I do definitely give credit to Star Atlas for putting those out. So the other piece of content that came out, again, was from Dominic Vane, one of the community managers. He did kind of a compilation review. I think he called it Rewind video. 4 or 5 minutes, I think. But I think it was really great because even though I like to read things, there is some part of us as humans that really like visual. And to see kind of that started out with a great little quote segment from Michael Wagner's Breakpoint, and then I went through kind of month by month different visuals that were released by the team, which again, people say, well, those aren't the games. Again, it's okay. We're being shown what they're working on and how things are progressing. And I think, again, it was really great to see that kind of video montage of all the things that came out in the past year. And again, looking at it objectively, there has been a lot come out. One of the nice scenes of the video helped me kind of step back and realize, because I was a little critical, again, of the things that did come out in the last month, but bugs and, announcements and things that didn't make it, like the DAC platform, and now looking ahead, some already kind of quote-unquote delayed, not that there was ever a final date. But I think this video montage was really great to look back and go, but there was a lot of things. And you can definitely start seeing the promise of the environment and the replayability and the repeatable play of different things that I think show that, yeah, there's a lot here and a lot has been done. So really appreciate that Dominic put that together. I always kind of wonder if he has some video editing skills because, yeah, anyways, but it was really good. So the team did have one announcement this week, and I have to admit this was completely out of the blue. I was actually a little shocked that it came out, a couple days after they had, quote unquote, come back to work. So they are going to do, I think it's January 17th. Don't quote me on that. Again, go to Intergalactic Herald to look at my news recap. I don't have to remember these things. But they're going to do a 1,000-person concurrent player stress test of the UE5 version. And I'm pretty sure this is the metagravity technology. I think they mentioned that in the Atlas brew to reinforce that. So, so It's a little vague if there's going to be a different version of the showroom, an update to the current version. Will the player tests continue on after the 24-hour period? So again, lots of unknowns, but that's not really the point. The point is that they're ready to start trying out this technology, and for everyone who has been with the game and liking the fact that we get to see things early, obviously to be asked to come into a play test, a beta test, alpha test, whatever you want to call it, is great. So I have to admit I was kind of tempted, but then as I thought about more, I'm like, yeah, I should really stay working that day. Wednesday's not a good day, but that's okay. Again, this is for people that really want to get into this thing and have some time, but I really wanted to finally get my video card some work, but we'll see. I don't know. Maybe my week will go very productive and I'll have a little bit of free time on Wednesday. But so anyway, so that's something there. So again, if you have the UE5 showroom on your computer, you got some time, definitely check out that. Again, I think it's going 24 hours. I would assume partly because StarOS does have an international community. So that was the big news from the team this week. And then the last area, so this Atlas Brew, again, this is the Star Atlas community team's weekly chat with the community, happened. And I always listen on replays, so kind of when I'm doing something else, so I kind of wasn't exactly sure what they were talking about until they got talking, but that's okay. So again, it's an informal thing, so I'm not expecting this agenda and all this other stuff. But they did go over kind of some of the news. That's where I got the thing about the player stress test was the meta-gravity technology. But as they were doing, as they typically do when there isn't a heavy announcement or a guest team member, they kind of just talk about some things. And it was actually a really interesting discussion because much like the video montage I mentioned before kind of made me go back and really reflect on what was new this year. This one actually made me really go back and reflect on what is Star Atlas's potential. And one first thing that they were just talking about, and again, since I'm multitasking while I'm listening, I'm not listening in, full attention, was just something talking about an architectural role. Indiana Jones. Archaeologist. Could get that out. Sorry. Archaeologist role. And, maybe you'll be going to a planet and you're looking for something. And what, again, it reminded me, and again, this is that play style that I'm really excited about, is that sounds like single play. It doesn't really matter what ship is. It doesn't matter what guild you're in. You, the player, are role-playing. So there are many other game types out there that are much more of the role-playing. And so it was actually really great. And again, they always caveat this. They're just talking, what's the word? Theory crafting things. But when Star Atlas team members talk about things, I can't imagine they are completely not thinking about stuff they know is possible. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but just possible. I mean, again, you could say, we're going to build, I don't know, I don't even know what game style, some other game style, So, and even if it is just hypotheticals and maybe this part doesn't come for 5 years, it did remind me again that there were some announced careers as part of Star Atlas. And again, this actually probably goes back, I think it was 2 breakpoints. And there were lots of words, like including they even showed a picture they'd already seen of an animal. And then they mentioned again, there might be a hunter role. And again, I just totally forgot about this. The last year, just totally focused on Sage coming out, obviously the layoffs, all this stuff. You almost have to go back another year to remember the content, the vision, the strategy documents that got published. Again, there was the Sage gameplay manual, just massive amount of information in there. There was that Breakpoint one, and I remember, what were they, releases or previews? Again, they showed so much, and then, FTX happened, and then the layoffs happened. Anyways, so it was, again, a really great just reminding the community that there was a lot of talk before we kind of had the reality hit in of cash flow and runways and things like that. So again, just remembering there are a lot of careers that they've talked about having. Again, not all coming at once. I think if I remember correctly, they were spread out over multiple releases. The other interesting one that just word came out, or phrase that came out that really kind of grabbed to, was quote unquote daily economy. And with Sage, I think we've been so focused on it's not even permanent economy. It's the current economy. Yeah. I don't think I said that right. But anyways, what we can do now, which is go into Sage, mine some stuff, transport it, craft it, and redeem it. And again, some of that was for golden tickets. Now we're into the, was it Council RFR? I don't even know what those, I haven't figured that out. Not too interested. I'm still stuck. I'm still staying in score. I just don't have the time. But anyways, that the long-term goal is, again, that you'll be involved in Star Atlas in a quote-unquote daily economy aspect. And again, it got me thinking again about, well, real life. Again, not an employee now, but when I was, you go to work, you punch a clock. Every 2 weeks, you get a paycheck. Business-wise, a little more complicated, prospecting, invoicing. Oh, I don't even want to get into that. I'm supposed to be on the weekend. But anyways, just realizing that the economy that we have today in something like Sage is nothing to what the long-term economy is. And again, it was a really nice scene to be reminded that your economic involvement in the grand scheme of things, which is Star Atlas is about economy, about politics, about exploration, that you literally could just be mining your one. I think they were talking about, having your one claim stake and you're just doing your one thing and you tie into the larger economy. But again, it reinforced that, again, there are specific roles or specific careers. Not everything's about combat. Not everything's about guild on guild battles or faction on faction battles. That, again, one person could. And this is, I guess, where I got inspired again by Star Atlas. Because in the end, we are one person. I make a decision where I'm going to work today or work for myself or, a job. And I don't care about how groceries get to the store, but once a week, my wife goes and buys groceries. So I'm really thankful groceries are at the grocery store, but I don't know how they get there. So again, our personal economy, go to a job, get a paycheck, buy groceries, pay mortgage. Again, there's 99.9999 other things that relate to the economy. So again, I'm not an economist, macro, micro, I don't know. But again, the reminder that everything we've been talking about and focusing on what's, currently in Sage is not the end. It's not even barely the beginning. It's just, here's something you can do right now with your tokens and your ships. So, never losing track of that. And then the last thing that kind of caught up that kind of fits in with all these things that I was getting really kind of re-excited for was, hey, maybe there'll be missions on planets. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a single player campaign kind of guy for real-time strategy, first-person shooters. So that also is like, yeah, why wouldn't you have that? So again, none of this is coming tomorrow. That's fine. This could be, again, the theory crafting where these are just ideas. But if all of these potentially someday, even if it's really long-term, I mean, the idea of putting all of these gameplay styles, again, kind of lap this back up to what Metaverse Explorer said about here's the current gameplay options, but here are the possibilities, things they've already announced that the Star Atlas team is interested in pursuing. It reminded me why this thing was really cool. Sure, I wanted to learn about crypto. Sure, I'd love to get rich by buying coins. But in the end, I wanted to play a game to add something that was gameplay, was a little bit crypto knowledge, but was just something that was cool and sci-fi. I just finished a Star Wars documentary, and I'm reminded again how much, because of my youth and seeing the original Star Wars when I was 7 or 8, I don't know, yeah. Well, actually, you can figure out my age, can't you? Ha, never mind. That's what's interesting. Yeah, again, I have no problems with guilds. I have no problems with, massive battles and major economic supply chain things, but I also just want to do something that's fun. Again, one thing, if anything, hasn't been mentioned is where's the story? That came up in the Star Wars documentary, that a lot of those were good because they had good stories, and the movies that weren't so good didn't have good stories. Not to get into whole Star Wars debates back and forth. That could be kind of fun. Anyways, some of the movies didn't have the greatest story, and we won't even talk about the last 3 ones. But anyways, missions on planets. Let's stay on topic. That would be kind of cool. If one day you want to just go and do a mission. And again, our missions quests, is this World of Warcraft? Again, millions of people played that, and that's all it had. It didn't have the NFTs. It didn't have the ship transfer. It didn't have to go to other planets. So again, as had been mentioned, I can't remember where, something about Ready Player One as being this ideal thing. Yeah, I mean, Ready Player One movie book did not have one aspect to it. There were many things. I mean, there was a planet just for school. But again, that's dystopian future. We don't go there. Anyways, so summary of the Atlas Brew, at least what I took away from it, is it reminded me a lot of the things that I'd kind of forgotten when we got into the day-to-day stuff of what's this thing, what bugs, this thing wasn't there. That this entire vision is still really cool. And again, we'll see what this year brings. So that's content section. And again, just to wrap up, again, thanks for listening. If anybody want to be a guest to ramble on with me on this, please go to intergalacticherald.com and go to my contact form. While you're there, please sign up for the weekly news recap if you'd like to get all the Star Atlas content I think is worth your time in an email, so you don't have to be subscribing to YouTube and Medium and whatever else. And if you have some time and you're interested, I'd love some feedback on which kind of Star Atlas gear you might be interested in purchasing. So please fill out my merch survey at intergalacticgear.com. And if you like what I'm talking about, you're not really interested in the guilds, but you want to hang out with some people, again, I'm trying to get kind of an initial group of people that are willing to commit to join a community, again, paid community of other Star Atlas gamers that hopefully talk and chat and maybe have some off-topic conversations about Star Wars. Who knows? Please go to Intergalactic Coalition and fill out my interest survey there. So that's it. Hopefully, or probably there'll be more stuff coming from Star Atlas this week ahead, assuming they're fully back up and running. So other than that, again, have a great week ahead. I'm Matt with the Intergalactic Herald.